Adam, Brittany, and Carlos can now not just produce jointly, but trade with the outside world. And the price, the trade ratio with the outside world is 1 unit of tea for 3 units of sugar. Do they want to trade or they do not want to trade? Well, if you remember, the opportunity cost of tea in terms of sugar of Adam and Brittany is lower than 3, while the opportunity cost of Carlos of tea in terms of sugar is exactly equal to 3. But since at least one of the opportunity costs is different, we know that there are going to be for sure some benefits for them to trade. So the answer is yes, they want to trade, because at least one of their opportunity costs is different from 3. And since they want to trade, we know that their consumption PPF is going to be above their production possibility frontier. The CPF is going to be a straight line with slope 3, with slope equal to the trade ratio. And the way to draw the CPF is to try to push this straight line as far as possible, given that it has to touch the PPF in at least one point. If we do that, we end up drawing a line which intersects the y-axis at 90 and intersects the x-axis at 30. And you can see that on the last piece of the PPF, so the piece where Carlos is producing some sugar and some tea, is exactly tangent to the CPF. So, and this makes sense, right? Because the opportunity cost of Carlos is exactly equal to the trade ratio. And you can see that the CPF is outside the PPF. And this makes sense too, because they are getting benefit from the CPF, and because they can always choose to not trade. So the CPF cannot be inside the PPF. They cannot be worse off by trading because they can always choose to not trade. And again, as we said, we have a whole bunch of points where the PPF and the CPF touch. And this is because you cannot trade something if you produce nothing. So there must be a point in common between them. If we come back to our questions about the 15 units of tea, we can see that now, if they want to consume 15 units of tea, if we go and read the corresponding number on the CPF, they can consume more units of sugar. You can see that we have a greater number than before. And we can easily compute that number. Given that the slope of the CPF is 3, the number of units of sugar they can consume is just going to be 15 by 3, which is equal to 45. So they can consume 15 units of tea and 45 units of sugar. We have said that the opportunity cost of Carlos is exactly equal to the trade ratio. So all these points here where the CPF is tangent to the PPF are possible production points. They can choose any of these points on the last part of the PPF. In order to answer to the question about import and export, we need a further assumption. And the assumption is that Carlos is going to produce just sugar. Given that assumption, the production point of Carlos, Brittany, and Adam is going to be here. So they are producing 20 units of tea and 30 units of sugar. Brittany and Adam are not producing any units of sugar because the opportunity cost of producing sugar is higher than the price they can buy sugar for. So they choose to produce just tea. And given that our production point is here, we can compute the import and export of the different goods. We can see that they are producing more tea than what they are consuming. So this means that they are exporting tea. So this is the part, all the units of tea that they are selling. And more precisely, we can just compute 20 minus 15. We get that they export 5 units of tea. And we can see that they actually consume more sugar than what they are producing. They are consuming 45 units of sugar, but they are producing just 30 of them, which means they are importing 15 units of sugar. So if we subtract 30 to 45, we get 15 units of import. And again, you can see from this graph that they are clearly better off than before. Before they were consuming at the lower point. Now that they can trade tea and sugar, they can consume at a higher point. Our first assignment is finished. It was really challenging, and it requires some more steps compared to the example you've seen in the lecture. So again, don't be scared. The next one will be a little bit easier, and if you could get almost all of it, you should be really proud of yourself. Thanks, and to the next time.